Raven Blackwood trudged through Europa's icy wastes, her modified environment suit humming with jury-rigged alien tech that would give any Galactic Council inspector a seizure. The storm that had driven away the wealthy alien tourists was perfect cover for her real work. Through the swirling snow, her augmented vision picked out the telltale glitter of discarded technology. "Hamish, scan that debris field," she muttered to her AI companion, a cobbled-together mixture of 7 different alien neural networks that technically violated every known safety protocol. The fact that it worked better than any single species' AI was her little secret. "Analysis complete," Hamish replied, his accent an inexplicable mix of Scottish and Centaurian. "Detecting approximately 37 pieces of Class 4 restricted technology. Most notable, a Proximian quantum manifold with an alleged structural flaw." Raven grinned beneath her mask. Alleged flaws were her specialty. She'd learned long ago that alien species had a peculiar habit of discarding perfectly good tech for the strangest reasons. What they saw as dangerous imperfections, she often found to be unexpected features. The manifold lay half buried in the ice, its iridescent surface marred by what the Proximians had labeled a critical fracture. Raven's trained eye saw something different. The pattern was too precise, too regular to be random damage. She carefully extracted it from the ice, her modified scanner revealing layers of complexity that standard alien equipment missed completely. "Hamish, cross-reference this pattern with our database of defective tech." Her fingers traced the fractal-like lines as data scrolled across her heads-up display. "Correlation found," Hamish announced after a moment. "Similar patterns appear in 73% of discarded quantum tech from 6 different species. Statistical probability of this being coincidental, effectively 0. Raven's heart raced. She'd suspected for years that there was more to these discarded pieces than met the eye, but this was the first concrete evidence. "They're not flaws at all, are they? They're connection points." The different species' tech was meant to work together, but nobody ever tried because they were too busy keeping their precious technologies separate. A priority alert flashed across her vision, a Galactic Council enforcement drone was approaching. Raven quickly packed the manifold into her salvage kit, its energy signature masked by the dampeners she'd built into the lining. "Citizen Blackwood," the drone's mechanical voice echoed across the ice. "You are in violation of Schedule 7 of the Technology Segregation Act. Surrender any collected materials immediately." Raven put on her best innocent smile. "Just collecting ice samples for the Europa research station." "See?" She held up a coarse sample she always kept handy for such occasions. The drone's sensors swept over her, finding nothing but perfectly legal equipment, at least, nothing its limited programming could recognize as illegal. "Proceed with caution, citizen. Further violations will result in severe penalties." As the drone moved on, Raven patted her salvage kit. Inside, the quantum manifold pulsed with potential, its flawed pattern calling out to be connected with others like it. The aliens had spent centuries keeping their technologies separate, never realizing they were throwing away pieces of a much greater puzzle. "Hamish, send a message to the underground network. Text only, maximum encryption. Message begins, found the missing piece. The pattern is real. Meet at the usual place in 3 days. Bring your best broken tech." The storm intensified around her as she headed back to her workshop, but Raven barely noticed. Her mind was already racing with possibilities. The aliens thought humans were primitive, barely worthy of using their cast-off technology. They were about to learn that sometimes the best innovations come from those willing to break all the rules. In her workshop, hidden beneath Europa's surface, thousands of pieces of broken alien tech waited to be understood. Each piece supposedly useless, each discarded for having flaws that weren't flaws at all. Raven looked at her collection with new eyes, seeing not a junkyard of cast-offs but a scattered blueprint for something revolutionary. "Time to show the galaxy what primitive really means," she whispered, already planning how to piece together this cosmic puzzle that had been hiding in plain sight all along. The abandoned mining facility on Ganymede wasn't much to look at, but that was exactly why Raven had chosen it. 3 days after her discovery on Europa, she watched as fellow engineers and salvage specialists filtered in through different entrances, each carrying containers of supposedly defective alien technology. Dr. Juniper Zhao arrived first, her reputation for quantum mechanics brilliance matched only by her ability to stay off Council radar. Then came twins Omar and Aisha Rahman, whose primitive modifications to alien waste processing systems had somehow doubled their efficiency. Finally, Solomon Sol Hakim appeared, his ever-present toolbelt jingling with implements that technically shouldn't exist. "Show us," Juniper said without preamble as soon as the security systems were active. Raven placed the quantum manifold on the central workbench, holographic displays springing to life around it. "Hamish, project the pattern analysis," Raven commanded. The AI compiled data from hundreds of defective pieces, showing how the supposedly random flaws created an interconnected web of quantum resonance patterns. "It's like they're speaking to each other," Aisha breathed, her augmented eyes zooming in on the details. "These aren't manufacturing errors, they're coded messages." Omar nodded, already pulling out pieces from his own collection. "Look at this Arcturian power core. The Council said it was dangerous because of irregular quantum fluctuations. But if you match these fluctuations with Raven's manifold..." The two pieces hummed in harmony when brought together, their energy signatures combining into something entirely new. Sol's diagnostic tools showed power efficiency far beyond what either piece should have been capable of. "They've been lying to us," Juniper said quietly, her fingers dancing through holographic equations. Or maybe lying to themselves. Every species developed their technology in isolation, deliberately making them incompatible. But these defects, they're actually adaptation points. The technology wants to evolve. Raven shared her full findings, hundreds of pieces, all with similar patterns, all discarded as dangerous or defective. When mapped together, they formed something like a technological ecosystem, each piece capable of enhancing the others in ways their original designers never imagined. The Council's entire technological hierarchy is based on keeping species separate, Sol mused, already tinkering with some components. Human technology is considered primitive because we can't manufacture quantum-grade materials. But what if we don't need to? What if we just need to understand how to use what they're throwing away? The group worked through the night, combining their expertise and collections. Pieces that supposedly couldn't work together merged seamlessly. Systems that should have exploded instead achieved perfect harmony. Their primitive, human approaches, unburdened by centuries of rigid technological doctrine, saw connections that advanced alien civilizations had missed. "We need to expand the network," Raven decided as morning approached. "Carefully. The Council's already increasing patrols around salvage sites. They know something's happening, they just don't know what." Juniper looked up from a particularly complex assembly. "I know engineers on Mars and Luna who've been asking questions about pattern anomalies in damaged tech. Trusted people. My contacts in the asteroid belt have been collecting discarded pieces for years," Sol added. "They just didn't know what they were looking at." The twins shared a look. "The waste processing centers," Omar said. "We've been redirecting certain items. There's a whole underground network of human engineers who've noticed these patterns but thought they were alone. Then let's bring them in," Raven decided. "But we need to be smart about this. The moment the Council realizes what we've discovered, they'll shut us down hard. We need to have something so revolutionary, so undeniable, that they can't ignore it." She pulled up the central hologram, showing the complete pattern they'd begun to decode. "We're not just going to prove humans can use their technology. We're going to show them what it was meant to be all along." The group dispersed as carefully as they'd arrived, each carrying pieces of the puzzle and new understanding of their importance. In her workshop later, Raven examined their first successful hybrid assembly, a power core that broke half a dozen laws of physics according to conventional alien science. "Hamish, Begin Phase 2, she instructed. Search all databases for discard patterns matching our criteria. It's time to build something impossible. The AI's response held a note of excitement. Searching. Also, detecting increased council surveillance on all quantum technology disposal sites. They're getting nervous. Good, Raven smiled, watching the hybrid core pulse with colors no single species technology could produce. They should be. The underground revolution. News spread through encrypted channels and whispered conversations in repair shops across the solar system. Everywhere, human engineers began looking at discarded alien technology with new eyes. What started as a small group of renegade inventors had become a quiet revolution. Inside a converted asteroid hangar, Raven watched feeds from dozens of workshops where humans were making breakthrough after breakthrough. A team in Vias Marineris had combined Rigelian quantum processors with Tau Ceti storage crystals, creating a computational system that processed data faster than anything in known space. A lone engineer in Luna's underground warrens had merged 3 different species waste recyclers into something that could break down materials previously considered eternally stable. Raven, Hamish interrupted her observations. Dr. Zhao requests immediate conference. Priority level maximum. Juniper's hologram materialized, her usual calm replaced by barely contained excitement. It worked. The quantum resonance theory, we proved it. Human brainwave patterns can synchronize multiple species technology simultaneously. That's why we can see the connections they missed. Raven leaned forward. Show me. The data streamed through her neural interface. Human engineers weren't just making alien tech work together, they were unlocking its true potential. Their brains, unburdened by generations of rigid technological doctrine, could perceive and manipulate quantum states in ways the aliens had never imagined. Council's getting desperate. Sol's voice joined the conference, his image showing him surrounded by partially assembled machinery. They've tripled the bounty on illegal technological integration information. My contacts say they're running scared. They should be. Omar and Aisha chimed in from their workshop on Titan. Look at this. They transmitted footage of their latest project, a hybrid drive system that achieved faster-than-light travel using only components the aliens had thrown away as defective. But success brought dangers. Council enforcement drones were appearing with increasing frequency around human settlements. Several smaller workshops had been raided, though they found nothing. Human engineers had become experts at hiding their work. They're preparing something big, Juniper warned, analyzing Council communication patterns. Multiple capital ships moving into the system. They're not just trying to stop us anymore, they're afraid of us. Good timing, Raven replied, activating her workshop's main display. Because we're ready to. Hamish, show them Project Unity. The hologram expanded, showing schematics for something that defied conventional physics. By combining the flawed pieces they'd collected, following the patterns hidden in their defects, they had designed a ship that could revolutionize space travel. It breaks every rule they have, she explained as the others studied the design. Not just about technology segregation, it breaks their understood laws of physics. Using only the pieces they thought were garbage, we've created something beyond their comprehension. The quantum manifold integration is beautiful, Juniper breathed, her fingers tracing the energy flow patterns. It's not just combining their technology, it's completing it. Like each piece was waiting for this. How long until it's ready? Sol asked, already calculating resource requirements. 3 days, Raven answered. Teams across the system have been building components. Everyone's working in parallel, using the patterns we discovered. When it's done, they won't be able to ignore us anymore, Aisha finished. The next 72 hours saw unprecedented coordination among human engineers. In hidden workshops from Mercury to the Kuiper Belt, pieces came together following the blueprint encoded in their very flaws. Each component, discarded as broken by its original makers, found its true purpose in human hands. Council ships arrived in force, their sensors sweeping for illegal technology signatures. But they were looking for known energy patterns, not understanding that humans had transcended those limitations. In 1,000 hidden places, the revolution continued undetected. Final component integration complete, Hamish announced as Raven connected the last piece of their impossible ship. Around her, hybrid systems hummed in harmony, quantum fields interweaving in ways that should have torn reality apart. Instead, they created something new, something beautiful. All teams report ready, Juniper's hologram appeared with the others. We're detecting massive Council fleet movement. They know something's happening, but not what or where. Raven placed her hand on the ship's hull, feeling the energy pulse through it like a heartbeat. Then let's show them. It's time for humanity to take our place in the galaxy, not as primitive users of hand-me-down technology, but as the ones who saw its true potential. They thought we were too primitive to handle their cast-offs properly, Sol grinned. Wait until they see what primitive really means. The assembled engineers shared a moment of anticipation. Years of being dismissed as barely civilized, of working with scraps and leftovers, had led to this moment. They hadn't just mastered alien technology, they had transformed it into something greater than the sum of its parts. Hamish, Raven commanded, begin launch sequence. Let's rewrite the laws of physics. Would you like me to continue with part 4? The story is building toward the confrontation between humanity's technological revolution and the Galactic Council's attempt to maintain control. Council's crisis. High Counselor Vexthor's crystalline form pulsed with agitation as emergency reports flooded the Council chamber. The massive alien's faceted surface reflected dozens of holographic displays, each showing something that should have been impossible. Explain, they demanded, their harmonic voice resonating through the chamber, how primitive humans have achieved quantum integration across 17 different technological lineages simultaneously. The assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations shifted uncomfortably. A Proximian scientist stepped forward, their tentacles twisting in distress. The humans, they're not following any known protocols. They're taking our discarded technology, components we deemed critically flawed, and somehow making them work together. On the central display, a ship appeared that defied analysis. It moved through space in ways that violated fundamental laws of physics, or at least, what they had thought were fundamental laws. The vessel's energy signature was unlike anything ever recorded, a harmony of quantum frequencies that should have been mutually exclusive. We've detected similar constructions throughout their solar system, reported a Rigelian observer, their mechanical eyes whirring in confusion. They're not just repairing our discarded technology, they're evolving it. In her hybrid ship, Raven watched the Council's panic spread across intercepted communications. The vessel, which she'd named Paradox, hung in space near Jupiter, its very existence challenging everything the galaxy thought it knew about technology. Council fleet approaching, Hamish announced. Detecting energy signatures from 37 capital ships. They appear to be having difficulty maintaining formation, our quantum field is disrupting their navigation systems. Not disrupting, Raven corrected, watching the data streams. Upgrading. The patterns we discovered, they're not just about making different technologies work together. They're about improvement, evolution. Every piece of broken tech they threw away was trying to become something more. Through quantum-encrypted channels, reports came in from across the solar system. The Raman twins had transformed a waste processing station on Titan into something that could recycle quantum energy itself. Sol had built a communication system that didn't just transmit information, it transmitted understanding. Juniper's laboratory on Mars had achieved stable quantum computing at scales that made the Council's best systems look primitive. Incoming transmission, Hamish reported. The Council demands our immediate surrender and the destruction of all illegally modified technology. Raven smiled. Send them the technical specifications for everything we've built. Full documentation, down to the quantum level. That violates 17 different secrecy protocols, Hamish noted with what sounded like glee. Exactly. They thought keeping species technology separate was about safety. It was about control. Time to show them what happens when you let innovation run free. The council chamber erupted into chaos as the data streamed in. Centuries of carefully maintained technological boundaries crumbled in the face of what humans had achieved. The patterns they discovered in defective technology weren't flaws, they were evolution trying to happen, quantum systems attempting to grow beyond their original design limitations. "This is unprecedented," a Tau Ceti representative whispered, their bioluminescent patterns showing shock. "The quantum harmonics alone, they've achieved in months what we've been trying to do for centuries." High Counselor Vexthor's surface rippled with conflicting emotions. How? How did they see what we could not? Because you were too focused on keeping things separate, Raven's voice filled the chamber as she accepted their transmission. Every piece of technology you threw away as defective was actually trying to connect with others. The flaws weren't flaws, they were adaptation points, waiting for someone to understand their true purpose. The paradox moved through space in ways that should have been impossible, its hybrid systems working in perfect harmony. Around the solar system, other human innovations were coming online, each one demonstrating mastery of principles the Council had thought beyond their grasp. "You have a choice," Raven continued. "You can try to stop us, to maintain your artificial boundaries between technologies and species. Or you can join us in discovering what's possible when we work together." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Their entire system of technological hierarchy, of keeping species separate and dependent, had been based on a fundamental misunderstanding. The humans hadn't just mastered their cast-off technology, they had revealed its true potential. "The patterns are spreading," Hamish reported. "Council ships in range of our quantum field are showing spontaneous system integration. Their technology wants to evolve. It always has." Raven watched as the Council fleet's formations broke down, their ship's systems beginning to resonate with the harmonics humans had discovered. The revolution couldn't be stopped, the only question was how the galaxy would adapt to what humanity had unleashed. "Your move, Council," she broadcast. "The future's happening, with or without you. Would you like me to continue with the final part? The story is heading toward its resolution as the galaxy grapples with humanity's technological revolution. New Dawn. The decision that reshaped galactic civilization didn't come with grand speeches or formal ceremonies. It came in the form of a single Regelian science vessel breaking formation with the Council fleet, its captain broadcasting on all frequencies, "We request permission to study these quantum integration patterns." More ships followed, their crew's scientific curiosity overwhelming centuries of conditioning. The Council's united front crumbled as species after species recognized the opportunity before them. In her workshop on Europa, now transformed into an impromptu interspecies research center, Raven watched aliens and humans working side by side. Juniper was deep in discussion with a group of Proximian quantum theorists, their tentacles waving in excitement as they explored new possibilities. The Ramon twins had attracted a following of young alien engineers who saw the potential in their primitive approach to technology. "Remarkable," observed Ambassador Clara, a Tau Ceti scientist who had once dismissed human technology as barely worth studying. "We spent centuries trying to perfect our individual technological paths. You humans simply asked why they couldn't work together. Sometimes the best view of a system comes from outside it," Raven replied, monitoring the latest tests. Across the solar system, hybrid technology was spreading, evolving in ways that excited and terrified the galactic community in equal measure. The paradox had become a symbol of this new era, its impossible existence proving that the boundaries between species technology had always been artificial. More ships like it were under construction, each one incorporating improvements suggested by the ever-expanding coalition of human and alien engineers. Integration progress at 89% and rising, Hamish reported, his hybrid consciousness now incorporating insights from dozens of alien AI systems. The quantum resonance patterns are self-propagating. Even ships that haven't been directly modified are starting to show signs of spontaneous adaptation. The Council had officially recognized human innovation, not out of choice but necessity. The technology they had dismissed as primitive had transformed their understanding of the universe. Ships moved faster, computers thought deeper, and energy flowed more efficiently than ever before. We were so focused on advancing our own technologies, Sol mused during a break between experiments, we never realized the real advancement would come from bringing them together. The changes weren't just technological. Species that had kept themselves separate for millennia were learning to collaborate. The artificial hierarchies that had defined galactic society were dissolving in the face of human-inspired innovation. There's something poetic about it, Juniper observed, watching a group of young aliens excitedly discussing new possibilities. They threw away the pieces that didn't fit their predetermined patterns, never realizing those pieces were trying to create something new. The final barrier fell when High Counselor Vexthor themselves arrived at the Europa facility. The crystalline being studied the hybrid systems with all their sensory facets, their surface reflecting the quantum harmonics in mesmerizing patterns. We believed we were protecting order, they admitted. Instead, we were preventing evolution. Humanity has shown us that true progress comes not from maintaining boundaries, but from breaking them down. Raven stood at a viewport, watching ships of all species moving through space in ways that would have been impossible months ago. Each one carried a piece of human ingenuity, a testament to what could be achieved when artificial limitations were cast aside. "What next?" asked Clara, their bioluminescence pulsing with curiosity. "We keep pushing boundaries," Raven replied, smiling as another impossible ship took flight. "After all, if we've learned anything, it's that the moment you think you know the limits of what's possible, someone will come along and prove you wrong." Above them, the stars seemed brighter, beckoning with new possibilities. Humanity had done more than prove their worth, they had shown the galaxy that the future belonged to those willing to see patterns where others saw flaws, to find harmony in discord, and to believe that the best innovations come when you dare to question every rule. The age of separation was over. The age of integration had begun.